Rain poured mercilessly against the glass windows of the towering corporate building, blurring the city lights into smears of gold and silver. Inside, silence hung like a heavy fog over the CEO's office. The faint hum of machines and the rhythmic ticking of the clock were the only sounds breaking the stillness. On the floor, half-conscious and trembling, lay a woman who once commanded that very empire, the same woman who had been feared, admired, and envied by thousands. Her eyes, usually sharp and filled with pride, were now swollen with tears and pain. Her voice broke as she whispered, almost too weak to be heard, "Please don't hurt me, I can't walk." If someone had seen her months ago, they would have never imagined this. She was Elena Royce, one of the youngest and most powerful CEOs in the city. Her company, Royce Innovations, had revolutionized medical technology and was worth billions. But all that power, all that confidence, couldn't protect her from fate. Just 6 months earlier, she had been in a car accident that changed her life forever. The crash had left her spine damaged, her legs paralyzed, and her heart shattered in ways she never thought possible. Speech balloon. Before we go deeper into Elena's journey, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion. After the accident, Elena's world fell apart piece by piece. The media that once praised her now swarmed her like vultures, speculating about her company's future under a disabled CEO. Investors pulled out, competitors circled like sharks, and the board of directors, the very people she had trusted, began pressuring her to step down. At first, Elena fought back. She attended meetings in her wheelchair, gave orders, and pretended to be strong. But behind the facade, she was breaking. Every day felt like an endless battle between her pride and her pain. She spent nights staring at her motionless legs, hating herself for being weak, hating life for being cruel. There were moments when she would wake up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, reliving the sound of metal crashing, her body trapped, and the haunting silence after it. She stopped going out, stopped smiling, and slowly shut herself off from everyone, including her family. Then came the betrayal. Her fiancé, the man she had loved for years, left her with a cold, emotionless message saying he couldn't handle her condition. That message broke something deep inside her. It wasn't just about losing love. It was about losing her worth in the eyes of the world. She began to believe that no one could ever truly love or respect someone like her again. Her once bright office became a prison, the place where she hid her pain behind a mask of coldness. Her employees whispered about her. Some pitied her, others resented her, and most just avoided her altogether. It was during one of those lonely nights that she hired a new personal assistant, a single dad named Ethan Cole. Ethan wasn't like the others who came for interviews. He didn't wear a fancy suit or have an impressive resume. He was quiet, calm, and his eyes carried the kind of sadness that only someone who had lost too much could understand. He was a former firefighter who had left the force after losing his wife in an accident. Now, he was raising his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Elena had almost dismissed him. His background didn't match the position, but something in his gentle honesty made her pause. Against her usual instincts, she hired him. At first, she treated him like everyone else, distant, formal, and cold. Ethan never complained. He spoke little, worked hard, and never reacted to her sharp tone or sudden outbursts. He would quietly bring her files, organize her meetings, and help her move around when she couldn't reach something. Slowly, without realizing it, Elena began to notice him, the way he always smiled softly when talking about his daughter, the patience in his voice, and how he never looked at her with pity. One rainy afternoon, Elena's Kara had failed to show up, and she found herself trapped in the lobby when the elevator malfunctioned. She tried to wheel herself out of the way but slipped, crashing to the floor. Her body froze in fear and pain. The echo of her voice, "Please, don't hurt me, I can't walk," filled the empty space as tears streamed down her face. Ethan, who had just arrived, ran to her side. Without hesitation, he knelt beside her, lifted her gently in his arms, and whispered that she was safe. He didn't look at her with fear or disgust, just quiet strength. From that day on, something shifted between them. Elena began to open up little by little. Ethan would talk to her about his daughter, about how hard it was to raise her alone, but how she kept him going. One evening, Lily came to the office after school. She ran straight to Elena, curious about the lady in the cool chair. Instead of recoiling like most children did, Lily smiled and said, "You look like a queen in your chair." Those words melted a part of Elena's heart that had been frozen for months. Over the next few weeks, Lily would visit often. She would draw pictures for Elena, tell her stories, and even help decorate her wheelchair with little colorful stickers. For the first time since the accident, Elena laughed. Ethan would watch quietly from the corner of the room, his eyes soft with gratitude that his daughter was helping someone heal without even realizing it. But healing wasn't easy. There were still nights when Elena's pain returned, not just physical, but emotional. One evening, she found out that her board had decided to replace her permanently. She locked herself in her office, unable to face anyone. When Ethan knocked, she tried to push him away, shouting that she didn't need anyone's help. But Ethan didn't leave. He simply sat outside the door and began talking about the night he lost his wife, how he had blamed himself for not saving her, how he had almost given up, and how one small act of kindness from a stranger made him choose to live again. His words broke through her walls. For the first time, she allowed herself to cry. Not as a CEO, not as a woman who had to appear strong, but as a human being who was tired of pretending. Ethan didn't say anything. He just stayed there, letting her release everything she had kept buried. That night became a turning point. In the weeks that followed, Elena began to see herself differently. She stopped hiding her wheelchair, started attending company events again, and even began mentoring young women who struggled with confidence. Her courage began to inspire others, and slowly, her company began to regain its lost strength. Investors returned, seeing not a broken leader, but a resilient fighter. Ethan continued to stand quietly by her side, not as a savior, but as a friend who reminded her that life could still be beautiful, even after loss. One morning, Elena joined Ethan and Lily at her park. She watched as Lily tried to make her fly a kite, giggling every time it crashed. For the first time in so long, Elena felt sunlight warm her face without the shadow of pain. Ethan watched her with quiet admiration, realizing that the woman who once begged not to be hurt was now teaching him how to heal too. Their friendship deepened over time. Elena supported Ethan when his daughter got sick, staying up all night at the hospital with them. In return, Ethan encouraged Elena to start a foundation for accident survivors, a dream she had once buried in fear. They built it together, and it soon became one of the most successful rehabilitation initiatives in the country. Through it all, they learned something profound, that healing often begins when two broken souls help each other find light again. Months later, during a company event, Elena was invited to give a speech. Her hands trembled slightly as she faced the crowd. The spotlight reflected off her wheelchair, but she no longer saw it as a symbol of weakness. She spoke about pain, loss, and how true strength isn't measured by how much we can carry, but by how many times we choose to rise after falling. As she ended her speech, she glanced at Ethan and Lily sitting in the front row, smiling proudly. Her heart swelled with gratitude, not for being saved, but for being reminded that she was still capable of living, loving, and leading. Speech balloon. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to life. Stories that remind us all that no pain lasts forever when kindness finds its way in. Before we end, here's a small request: to comment below with "Kindness can heal" if you believe that one act of compassion can change someone's world. Elena's journey wasn't about perfection. It was about rediscovery. She had lost her ability to walk, but in return, she learned how to stand tall in spirit. And the single dad who once walked into her life as a stranger became the bridge that led her back to hope. In the end, she realized that miracles don't always come with grand gestures. Sometimes, they come quietly, in the form of a helping hand, a child's laughter, or a simple reminder that broken doesn't mean finished. As the sun set behind the city skyline, Elena looked out from her office window, the same one where she once cried alone. Now, it reflected a new beginning. Her wheelchair stood beside her like a symbol of her journey, not her limitation. Ethan and Lily waited for her downstairs, ready to take her to the park. For the first time in years, she smiled without pain, knowing that life had hurt her, but love, pure, human love, had healed her. And that is how the woman who once begged, "Please, don't hurt me, I can't walk," learned to rise again, not by standing, but by believing.